Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.
We've had difficulty even drinking anything out of that glass here during the course of the past couple of months.
As bleak as the revenue forecast looks, state leaders like Jay Dardenne stress the value of optimism.
She clinically died twice before even getting on the helicopter.
12-year-old Juliette Daly's battle with COVID-19 that nearly killed her.
You don't really have any closure from it because you never got a chance to see them to say goodbye.
A family coping with losing both parents within minutes of each other to COVID-19.
Every day we're not back up and operating. Somebody else decides to throw in the towel.
The lieutenant governor urges anyone who can to staycation in Louisiana. Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha Williams.
And I'm Andre Moreau. Much more on those top stories in a moment on this week's edition of SWI. But first, a look at other news making headlines across the state.
The people of Louisiana have worked really hard since this public health emergency was first announced.
Beginning Friday, Governor John Bel Edwards is lifting his strict stay-at-home orders put in place to fight the rapid spread of the coronavirus. He praised Louisianans for their efforts and progress, but warned against backsliding. Friday's Phase 1 allows most places to reopen with restrictions, a 25% capacity, workers wearing masks. It includes almost all businesses. Restaurants and coffee shops can reopen with inside seating. Churches, gyms, movie theaters, hair and nail salons, museums, zoos, aquariums, and racetracks without fans can all reopen. Tattoo parlors, spas, amusement parks, and children's museums will remain closed for now. These restrictions will stay in place until at least June 5th.
We can continue to have tremendous success on the public health front while we re-engage our economy. But if people get too anxious, if we lose patience, if we're inconsiderate to fellow Louisianans, then we can go in the wrong direction. That is the worst thing, not just with respect to public health, that's the worst thing you can do for the economy.
The outbreak has decimated the state's economy, with more than 310,000 people qualifying for unemployment. In New Orleans, 1 out of every 4 workers has lost jobs because of the pandemic. That's according to a study from the University of Louisiana Lafayette. The study found the 25% unemployment rate in the Crescent City is just ahead of 21% in Baton Rouge and 19% in Lafayette. Stephen Barnes at the Blanco Public Policy Center analyzed the data. The numbers already rival the Great Depression era of the 1930s. LSU is among the many state universities bringing workers back to campus in Phase 1. Those returning were notified this week, while others could continue to work remotely for the time being. Those returning to campuses must wear face masks when around others, maintain physical distancing, and also proper hygiene with hand-washing protocols. LSU honored more than 4,000 spring graduates with a virtual graduation ceremony. The viewing of the graduation watch party was on LSU's Facebook page. It featured a year-in-review video, Louisiana native and Grammy winner Lauren Daigle singing the national anthem, and a message from interim president Tom Galligan. LSU intentionally had tougher hazing policies for sororities compared to fraternities. At least that's a key argument in a $25 million lawsuit against LSU from the parents of Max Groover. A federal appeals court ruled this week Stephen and Rayanne Groover can continue their case against the university. Groover was an 18-year-old freshman at LSU in 2018 who died of alcohol poisoning after a frat party at Phi Delta Theta. The court ruled because LSU gets federal funding, it waived its right to immunity from lawsuits claiming sexual discrimination. The health department will resume releasing the names of nursing homes where residents have tested positive or died from COVID-19. Dr. Alex Bu, leader of the Public Health Office, will release specific details weekly. The office says people dying in nursing homes account for 37% of all virus deaths in Louisiana. New schools of Baton Rouge this week hosted a virtual job fair for current and prospective teachers. The job fair included reps from charter, private, and traditional public schools. It also featured programs in schools for those wanting to know what it takes to become a teacher.
Here are some of the highlights from this week from the state capitol. Louisiana voters will get to decide parish by parish whether to legalize sports betting under a bill that passed easily Wednesday in the state Senate.
Yes, senators voted 29-8 for this proposal. It was by Senator Cameron Henry, Jefferson Parish Republican, that calls for the sports betting to appear on the November 3rd ballot. GOP lawmakers advanced proposals to limit damage claims against businesses in car wreck lawsuits. Talk of this began before the pandemic. Democrats say it's not appropriate to discuss amid the coronavirus.
House and Senate committee members approved tort reform measures that would make sweeping changes to Louisiana's civil litigation system aimed at lessening liability insurance companies and other businesses. Now, the bills would change the rules for accessing courts and suing over injuries.
Our car insurance rates are second highest in the nation, averaging about $2,200 a year.
64,000 people will stay on the Medicaid program who otherwise would have been kicked off the rolls because of federal aid enacted to the coronavirus pandemic.
A congressional aid package means the state got another $250 million extra in Medicaid money. The state REC, the Revenue Estimating Conference, slashed state income projections by $1 billion, courtesy of the coronavirus. The giant blow to the budget threatens deep cuts across state services across the board. Leaders do not intend to raise taxes, though. Commissioner of Administration Jay Dardenne breaks it down for us.
We knew it was going to be a pretty stark number.
And Administration Chief Jay Dardenne says that nearly $1 billion shortfall is a reality the state will have to burden. He says we're not alone. We've got plenty of company, the rest of the nation and the world.
It is a shocking number, particularly when you consider we had made so much progress over the course of the past 4 years in overcoming a $2 billion problem with budget surpluses for a couple of years in a row and anticipating another surplus this year. So from that standpoint, it's very disappointing that we're not able to do the kind of things we had planned on doing had we not had to deal with the pandemic. But that's easy to say. Everybody in the world and in America has had to do that.
It's a disaster with far-reaching implications, but Dardenne says there is some help expected to come.
The federal government has increased the amount of money that the state will get from Medicaid so that our portion of treating Medicaid patients is smaller. We'll get more federal dollars. That'll free up some of our state general fund. And of course, the CARES Act that Congress allocated to all the states and territories brought about $1.8 billion to Louisiana. The federal government has the luxury of printing money and running deficits. We don't have that in Louisiana state government. We've got to have a balanced budget, and we certainly can't print money. Right. So those funds are going to come in extremely handy in offsetting some of this $1 billion problem.
Will that be enough to avoid still sweeping cuts?
We hope that it will. There's still going to be cuts, but not cuts that you would think have to be made at a $1 billion level of problem.
The federal money cannot be used to replace lost revenue. The massive drop in sales taxes, income taxes, skyrocketing unemployment, and the price of oil plummeting, all creating a financial hole.
But those dollars can be used, according to the federal guidelines, to reimburse for expenditures that the state made to prepare for or respond to or mitigate problems caused by the coronavirus. So that's going to let us take a lot of the expenses we've incurred for letting people work from home and from doing all the work that's been done to prepare hospitals and build new hospital sites and incur expenses related to healthcare services and public protection. All that's covered. So we'll find out that there's going to be a significant amount of that money that will help us in the current year and help us next year as well.
There is also FEMA money, in addition to the CARES Act, that will offset a majority of what the state is spending.
Because we're in a declared disaster, FEMA is going to be responsible for 75% of the funds that we have directly spent to deal with this, and the state will be responsible for 25% of that.
In a sea of bad news, that's the good news.
Well, that's right. That is some good news that the relief that the federal government has provided to the states, recognizing that there was going to be a severe blow to state budgets, literally every one of them, depending on where they were in their budget year, affecting one fiscal year or affecting 2 fiscal years. In our case, it's affecting 2 fiscal years because we have a June 30 year end and a July 1 fiscal year beginning.
Dardenne also says there's a lot of money being spent for crucial testing and contact tracing.
But it's absolutely pivotal to getting us to the point where we can fully recover. So that will be an additional expense that will be incurred for the balance of this fiscal year and probably moving well into next year, is that testing and component comes into play. And hopefully as we advance scientifically and medically at the national level, we'll be in a position to provide more testing and hopefully eventually a vaccine and some treatment modalities that'll be available for people, because most of the experts are telling us this is not suddenly going to go away. It's something that we're going to have to deal with, and there's the potential for it recurring at different times of the year, and we'll all, as a nation and as the world, have to be prepared to deal with that.
And there's another piece of legislation that could come from Washington, and Senator Bill Cassidy is helping drive it. He says it is essential. It's called the SMART Fund or SMART Act. Cassidy is teaming with New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez, proposing that $500 billion go specifically to help state and local governments deal with the coronavirus recovery. I talked with him on a national conference call this week.
Just as we have supported employers and families and individuals, so we would also support city and state government, knowing that if your city cannot afford to pay the police officers, the firefighters, the sanitation workers, then all the money that we have put into supporting employers, hoping they keep their doors open, will be wasted. The restaurant, if it opens the doors and there is not police protection, fire protection, and sanitation to take away the garbage, that restaurant is going to close. That impacts our economy, the tax base, the employees. It impacts us all.
How quickly could it become a reality?
Louisiana is not the only state being terribly impacted. And pick your city that you live in, Andre, Baton Rouge, or say New Orleans or Shreveport. Those are not the only cities being impacted. So I think the longer we go with state after city after state announcing their shortfalls, laying off their police officers, their firefighters, their sanitation workers, otherwise cutting support for essential government services, the more support we'll get for our bill. And now it just turns out over the next several months, several weeks to several months, is when states begin to report their finances. So at this point, there's folks who are undecided. Wait till their governor calls them, or their mayor calls them, or the police chief calls them and says, these are our circumstances. No fault of ours. The federal government asked us to shut down. We did, and now we've lost our tax base. So at this point, I think it would pass. But give it a month, give it 6 weeks, I'm even more confident that it'll pass.
Her heart stopped twice and she was revived. 12-year-old Juliette Daly of Covington was a victim of the coronavirus and a rare heart condition likely triggered by COVID-19. Her incredible story that almost ended in tragedy is raising awareness about how some children's symptoms may be very different.
A few weeks ago, this family picture, Mom, Dad, and Juliette, was in jeopardy.
Because I was really nauseous and things were really kind of dizzy and hard to see. And tired. Very, very tired. I napped a lot.
That was just the beginning of Juliette Daly's battle to survive, the perfectly healthy, active 12-year-old who suffered a heart attack and knocked on death's door not once but twice, her symptoms not typical of COVID-19.
Sunday, she had nausea and vomiting all day. Couldn't keep anything down, not even water. And a lot of abdominal pain.
So I guess it's my own fault.
Yeah, she threw up like 6 times or something.
Her mom, Jennifer Daly, a radiologist, tried to get Juliette tested, but she didn't qualify. The next day, she seemed better, but quickly took a turn for the worse. Her dad, Sean, took her to her pediatrician, who immediately sent her to the emergency room. From there, more complications.
And he calls me, he's like, yeah, they're going to transfer her by helicopter down to Ochsner to be admitted to the pediatric ICU. And I actually said to him, I'm like, no, we only live an hour away. Let's just drive her. It's not that far. And he's like, no, Jennifer, you don't understand. They're going to intubate her, put her on a ventilator, and put her in a helicopter because they want a team there. And I just immediately started crying and freaking out. And he's like, you need to pack a bag. You need to get in the car. You need to get down there.
Jennifer's hour drive from Covington to New Orleans was filled with fear and tears, and then more bad news.
Then he calls me again as I'm getting on the causeway, and he's like, yeah, there's been a delay. They had some issues after they intubated her, after they put the breathing tube down. They had to do extreme measures. They had to do CPR. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was already extremely upset, and I got even more upset.
Because at this point, they're telling you that she's not breathing. They're telling you that she's dead.
Her heart had stopped.
Right, her heart stopped. So I guess she was sort of decompensating, was sort of failing at that point. So when they intubated her, her heart basically stopped at that time for a little less than 2 minutes.
And
they brought her back, and then they put her on the gurney, and she was sedated and had the breathing tube in, and we wheeled her out.
So it was kind of like both of you were in kind of a limbo, a crazy situation, right?
It was the world's worst handoff. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the last time he saw her, she's on the ventilator getting into an ambulance to go meet a helicopter, and I had not seen her since 7:30 that morning, when she had still looked okay. But in the few hours of that morning, she went into cardiogenic shock and heart failure. Her heart was barely pumping. She was super sick. She was barely holding on. We had no idea how sick she was until she got to the hospital. And we got her there just in the nick of time. If we had waited even a half hour, an hour, she would have had a cardiac arrest at home. She would have died. By the time we called 911 and had the ambulance come and they figured out what the hell was going on, she would have died.
At the hospital heading to ICU, Juliette's new battle was just beginning.
I finally get into the peds ICU and I grab a nurse and I say, I'm Juliette Daly's mother. I just need to know one thing right now. Is she alive? Did she make it off the helicopter? Because I don't even know. And she comes back. She said, yes, Juliette's alive, but they're about to put her on a bypass machine. It's all called ECMO. They want to stop her heart so her heart can rest and get better, and put her on this machine to do all the work of her heart and lungs for her. And just the news was just getting worse and worse.
A little good news, she didn't have to go on the bypass machine, but was heavily medicated. Her mom told the next 24 to 48 hours were critical.
Either they will recover and hopefully get their cardiac function back. He said 7 out of 10 kids usually do that. And then I asked him, what happens to the 3 out of 10? And he said they need cardiac transplant or they die. And I was like, yeah. I mean, as a parent, I'm like 70%. I was like, at that point, that was pretty good news. I thought that was pretty good news, actually. Because,
I was like,
okay, 70%. I mean, normally 70% is not good, but it's better than 50-50, and it's better than her being dead. You know, I was desperate to grasp onto any nugget of good news.
The family did get good news. Juliette is expected to make a full recovery, but after a very scary ordeal, her mom, a doctor, admits she was a little scared and wanted to be very cautious.
I had a lot of anxiety and PTSD after this. When they told us we could go home, I was like, are you sure? Maybe we should stay here, because I like being here in the ICU with all the doctors and all the monitors. I mean, after she was extubated and a little more stable, like I could actually sleep because I knew there were other people watching her. And if anything happened, alarms would go off.
And as for Juliette, she'll have quite a story to tell for many years to come.
Maybe I can talk to my grandchildren about this.
Now, the number of COVID cases among children remains small despite cases like Juliette's, but doctors are warning parents if their children develop fever, a rash, stomach pain, or vomiting, call their pediatrician immediately. Adults still make up the majority of COVID-19 cases. In their final moments, they were together in the same room, side by side, as they were losing their battle to COVID-19. Steve and Barbara Randolph grabbed each other's hands and passed away minutes apart. Their daughter tells us she finds comfort in the fact that they were together until the very end.
Pastor Steve Randolph suffered a stroke on Christmas Day and was recently moved to a nursing home to recuperate. His wife, evangelist Barbara Randolph, was making daily visits to see him when the coronavirus pandemic struck.
She started off with like a cough. Initially, she thought it was like a cold. She thought she had like a flu or something like that.
Ashley Briscoe is the Randolph's daughter. She says her mom went to the doctor but did not get a test for COVID-19. But days later, she was very sick.
It went from a cough to she was having trouble breathing. She started having nausea, vomiting, shortness of breath.
She was rushed to the hospital and tested positive for the virus and put on a ventilator.
Right after my mom was put in the hospital, my sister started having the same symptoms. So she ended up in the hospital as well, and she had to be put on a ventilator too.
And later that evening, Briscoe got more bad news.
When I got off work that night, I got a call from the nursing home saying that they were rushing my dad to the ER as well because he was starting to have seizures. His temp was over 103, I believe. So I had to wait for a doctor to call me, and that's when they informed me that he was having respiratory failure. So he was immediately put on the ventilator as well.
All had the virus, all in the same hospital, all fighting to survive.
So they were all three in ICU, on ventilators at the same time. And my mom didn't know my sister and dad was in there. And my sister didn't know my dad was there. My dad didn't know my mom and sister, but they were all like right down the hall from each other the whole time in ICU. So it was confusing because it all happened so fast. They went from just a call and then all three on the ventilator.
One bright spot, her sister, 39 years old with no underlying health issues, recovered and was released from the hospital. Her dad, 64 with high blood pressure, and her mom, 58 with diabetes, were gravely ill and getting worse. A doctor telling the family their parents' organs were shutting down.
And at that point that the ventilator was doing 100% of the work, and that they wanted to discuss the option of hospice with us.
Her parents were admitted to hospice, the family deciding to let them go, knowing the end was near.
So we had to say our final goodbyes over the FaceTime before they removed them off the ventilator. And once they removed them off the ventilator, they were able to put them in the same room, and they put their beds together. And my dad reached over and grabbed my mom's hand. And after she passed, he passed a couple minutes after her while holding her hand.
So he reached over and grabbed her hand?
Right. And the doctor took a picture of it and saved it for me so we can have them keep safe.
Briscoe says her family takes solace in knowing they were there for each other, just like they were in life, inseparable.
There wasn't a day that you saw my mom without my dad, or you never saw my dad without my mom.
Now, though, as they grieve, the family is hoping for closure.
The fact that we can't have a funeral, to have like some kind of closure with it, it's like it's not really being able to say your final goodbyes. So it's like every day you wake up and it's like, did that really happen?
Now, the family has set up a GoFundMe page to help pay for their parents' funeral expenses. If you'd like to help, go to the page you see on your screen. Pastor Stephen and Barbara Randolph.
As the state has been on a stay-at-home lockdown, our vibrant tourism industry has collapsed. I talked with Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser as we ease back into business, and he is reminding everyone in our state to staycation in Louisiana.
We're asking Louisianans to get out and staycation, go to the state parks, museums, do it safely, wear your mask, keep your distance, but it's a great time to get out and discover Louisiana. After all, it's yours. And they'll share those stories, those great places they go with friends and family. And when we're ready to invite tourists back, we'll already have a lot of things that have been done by local residents talking about how wonderful they were, and they'll help us welcome the tourists back.
Billy, everyone's coping with tough times. How is tourism coping with not having anybody in, hotels empty, the whole gamut?
Well, it's the people losing their jobs wears on me every day. And every day we're not back up and operating. Somebody else decides to throw in the towel, whether it be an antique shop in the French Quarter, a bed and breakfast, a hotel. And so that's why it's so important through this phase one that Louisianans that can get out, that are healthy and get out in a safe manner, to get out and support as many restaurants, local shops, attractions, bed and breakfast hotels, and because that might make the difference in us making it through these tough times.
Did you ever think that you would be in a position to have to ad lib like this?
You know, Katrina, the oil spill, the 2016 floods, flooded 57 of our 64 parishes. During and after each one of those, I questioned our ability to come back. Yet Louisianans find a way. So although we're facing the same thing that every state is facing, we do have the best tools in our toolbox, the best food, culture, music, and the best people. When you leave Louisiana, you leave with a friend for life. We treat strangers like family. So competing against all the other states, I like our chances better than anyone to bring back quickly and save as much of this industry and put as many people back to work as quickly as possible.
And everyone, that's our show for this week. Remember, you can watch anything LPB anytime with our app.
Download it for free from your app store. This upgraded version features news, public affairs, documentaries, how-tos, and many more programs. And please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
For all of us here at Louisiana Public Broadcasting, I'm Andre Moreau.
And I'm Natasha Williams. Thanks for watching.
Until next time, that's the state we're in.
Entergy is proud to support programming on LPB and greener practices that preserve Louisiana.
The goal of our environmental and sustainability initiatives really is to ensure that our kids and future generations can be left with a cleaner planet.
Additional support provided by the Fred B. and Ruth B. Ziegler Foundation and the Ziegler Art Museum located in Jennings City Hall. The museum focuses on emerging Louisiana artists and is an historical and cultural center for Southwest Louisiana. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting, with support from viewers like you.